Hey guys, I recently read Built to Move, a book by Kelly Starrett and his wife Juliet. Kelly is a physical therapist known for his Mobility Ward YouTube series, and together they have a website called The Ready State. Kelly is also the author of Becoming a Supple Leopard, a book I've previously reviewed and highly recommend. The full title of their latest book is Built to Move, the 10 Essential Habits to Help You Move Freely and Live Fully, and that's a clear segue into the chapter structure. They outline 10 vital signs, each of which comes with 1 or 2 assessments, and by addressing all of them, you set yourself a strong foundation of good health. I really enjoyed his first book, and anyone who's done his famous couch stretch will know what a difference a single position can make to your body. This book goes beyond mobilisations, which some would argue is their main area of expertise, into other daily practices that can have an impact on your health, particularly if they're areas that you currently neglect. In the book's final chapter, they lay out what it would look like to incorporate all of the daily habits and mobilisations into a 21-day routine. This is also available as a series of emails that I would actually recommend as the starting point before purchasing the book. Each of the first 10 days involves assessing one of the 10 vital signs, which I've listed here. There are then some everyday practices and a few mobilisations. Depending on how proactive you already are with your health, it may not be too daunting to accomplish everything. They've designed it with a busy lifestyle in mind, and I found myself able to complete most of the daily tasks either before breakfast or during my lunch break. The 21-day challenge is a really nice touch. It's very common to read a self-improvement book, learn all these new things, but never actually get the chance to implement them in your daily life. It's very difficult to get someone to adopt a habit purely from reading a book, and what they've done here is made it very easy and accessible to do so. The only criticism I have of the book is that it's quite long for what it is. I wasn't that keen on the writing style, and the anecdotes fell a little flat for me. It comes in around 280 pages. I would have paid just as much money to have it in 150 pages or less. After reading the book, I completed the full 21-day challenge, and I'll now review how I got on. I'm going to break it down into 3 sections, starting with the testing. I generally look after myself quite well, so I passed the majority of challenges, including the sit and rise test, balancing with eyes closed, and averaging 7 or more hours of sleep per night. Where I fell down was my diet. I only met half of the 800 grams of fruit and veg per day quota. Note that potatoes do count as long as they're not fried, as do legumes. Then the sitting inventory with a target of no more than 6 hours per day, which I fail because, like many of you, I'm at my desk working 7 or 8 hours a day. The daily practices include time spent sitting on the floor, which doesn't count towards your total sitting time, walking at least 8,000 steps, and getting sufficient protein. While on average I get 8,000 steps, on days I don't exercise or commute, that's much lower, and even with a 20-minute walk after breakfast, I wasn't always hitting my target. I found the fruit and veg consumption quite difficult. In fact, I was getting stomach distress from trying to hit my target. On one occasion being a bit ridiculous and trying to eat 400 grams of broccoli for dinner, only to find out that the slow digestibility makes for a terrible night of sleep. I've been meaning to overhaul my breakfast for years, and this book has finally encouraged me to do so. I now have a tin of beans or legumes for breakfast, for example, black beans with mackerel and spinach, and I move my traditional breakfast of oats to the evening meal. An added bonus is at the end of a long day, I don't have to stare blankly into the fridge as I know exactly what's for dinner. The book also helped me get round to replacing my manual adjustable desk with an electric one. I always feel pressured to stand all day, but this challenge started at 30 minutes and added 10 minutes a day, which for the most part I could handle. I now spend the first 90 minutes of my working day standing and also the hour immediately after lunch, and that's very manageable. Lastly, the area they're known for, mobilisations. As you can see, I did every single one. I've even taken some of my favourites and put them into my own daily routine. The most effective mobilisations for me were the rather intimidating sounding bone saw, a hip opener, the classic couch stretch, a deep squat, elevated pigeon, and the T-spine mobilisations. I own a copy of Becoming a Supple Leopard, which I'll now revisit to see if I can find even more that I can introduce little and often. Overall, I feel in a much better place after completing the challenge. I'm logging 2 or 3 hours a day at my standing desk. I'm starting the day with beans or legumes, as well as eating more fruit and veg at other meals. And on days that I'm not exercising, I make sure to do at least 20 minutes of walking. As I said earlier, your first port of call should be their website, where they walk you through the 21-day challenge. There are video demonstrations and it's all free to access. They reference the book throughout the videos, but I'd only recommend purchasing if you feel like something is missing. The majority of value is going to come from the videos, and the book is there if you want to dive deeper on any one of the vital signs. Thanks for watching.